The Atlanta Falcons are coming off an exciting victory on Thursday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 5, and their reward is they get to travel up to Charlotte to take on the Carolina Panthers, who suffered a terrible loss in Week 5 to the Chicago Bears. Ryan and I, we're going to break down the Week 6 matchup between the Falcons and the Panthers. I'm going to talk about the matchups within the game to watch, and at the very end of the video, provide our predictions on who we think is going to win and why. But before I get into that, we have a goal of trying to get to 100 new subscribers within these Week 6 prediction video series. We've been able to hit that goal the past couple of weeks thanks to all of our new members to the channel. So thank you to everybody out there. If this is your first time here, or if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to the Tracy Take, leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win and why. And Ryan, I am sick and tired of these one possession victories. I don't think my little heart can take it. Extremely stressful. But I'm glad that we came out victorious. We are 3-2 on the season, tied for the division lead. It absolutely could be worse. It technically could be better, but I'm not going to worry about that. So amazing performance by Kirk Cousins and this passing offense. Great to see us finally. Just need to see competent quarterback play. No offense to everybody that was directed to. But then I do still have some other concerns that are just kind of for on the longevity of the season as well. Some areas I really want to improve on. But the Panthers, they have a lot of concerns every single day. It seems like a very tough loss against the Chicago Bears. Losing Jack Thompson as well, too, the week before to an Achilles tear. Just another kind of devastating loss to this team that already doesn't have that much talent in general. But I want to throw it over to you here. Kind of what are some of the areas that you think that each team needs to focus on kind of going into this Week 6 matchup to come out victorious?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at this Panthers team, they have a decent bit of talent at the receiver position. Xavier Legette, they just invested in. Deontay Johnson is there also. They have Jonathan Mingo as well from last year's draft. So, like, they have invested in receiver talent. So I think just getting those guys more involved is going to be crucial. And I think Andy Dalton has done a better job of that since he's taken over. But just continuing to progress in this offense. To me, the biggest thing is, like, overall, this offense is just I don't want to say lacking talent because, again, like I just said, they have invested in offensive talent over the last few years. They're just not, like, experienced or developed enough to really be contributing at, like, an NFL level. And then, like, this defense is just not. This defense needs to step up its level of play. It's just not there. Obviously, injuries. The trading of Brian Burns was another thing that has really just handicapped this defense. But it's just been a rough road for this Panthers defense so far. And all in all, I think they're just overmatched. The only thing I think the Panthers can do is take advantage of opportunities that the Falcons could potentially give them to really win this game. I don't say this often. I don't really envision a way that the Panthers can come in and just man for man beat the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, no, I can see what you're talking about because it's the way that this offense seems to be clicking, especially on the pass line. They just keep improving more and more. But also, too, I actually look on the other side of the ball, though. The Falcons' defense is one of the top ones. They do give up a lot of yards, but they once when you get into, I think Kirk Herbstreit's the one that said this, but once you get into the red zone, though, they really tighten things up, and it's hard for teams to kind of get into the end zone. And so that's where I think it's going to be tough. The Panthers might have an easier time to move the ball in between the 20s, but how they are in the 20s, that's where it's going to be kind of the real test, I think, for this Panthers team to succeed. And so before kind of going on now a little bit more, talking a little bit deeper about the matchups, Falcons should be favored in this game. If you want to put a couple of bucks down on the game, check the link down below at BetUS. They have a bunch of great promotions going on right now for first-time players. And so you can take a look at this game and all the other Week 6 games as well. So, but yeah, as I said, the Falcons should be favored going into this game. They're just a better team on paper, but also too just the way that the Panthers have been playing as well as their overall talent. But I think the Falcons can absolutely exploit, hopefully, a weaker offensive line. Love to see the pass rush really pick up as well. I know we don't have that many sacks on the season, but it does feel like we get into the backfield a lot, have a lot of QB pressures, unless it's the first half. I think that's kind of my one concern is why does our defense have to go to halftime and then things really start to figure it out? Baker Mayfield and company that first half, and could just absolutely do anything. It felt like that's happened a couple of times as well when it comes to our performances defensively in the first half. And so, but second half though, we turned into the best defense in the entire league.
Yeah.
But another thing though too, I am concerned about our rushing game overall and kind of our overall use of Bijan. It feels like we're not, don't know what it is. Our offensive line play just isn't the best overall. And I feel like too with the firepower that we have, I mean, we see the talent there, and maybe Bijan obviously needs to improve as well. Like maybe there's still some inefficiencies that he needs to keep working on. But when I feel like we're just not able to run the ball super well, and I don't want to have to rely on Kirk Cousins throwing the ball 50 plus times in the game to win to win these matchups here. And so I think it's one of the areas I really want to see us improve is on both sides of the trenches, creating better running lanes for Bijan, Tyler Algier. Particularly just for Bijan, because Tyler Algier, I don't know what it is, but the offensive line seems to work really well for him and not for Bijan. And that's, I'm kind of joking because I think it's kind of maybe more on Bijan a little bit, just because Tyler Algier is able to have an effective game. But we're 26 overall in rushing yards per game, which I don't like seeing that statistic at all. I feel like with the talent that we have, we should be much better. But on the flip side, though, too, I really want to see us in the backfield a lot more and get Andy Dalton or Bryce Young. Bryce Young came in and played today. I want to see him play. I want to see this defensive line really get after the quarterback here, provide a lot more pressure. Because when that does happen, though, love our linebacking room. Troy Anderson hopefully is back. He missed last week's game. But Caden Ellis and company is great linebacking room as well. And great secondary led by A.J. Terrell, Jesse Bates, and even Justin Simmons, who they signed in free agency. So I had to monitor D. Alford. He left the game with a concussion week, but luckily it's a Thursday night game. So hopefully we'll have to kind of wait and see. But Clark Phillips came up big a lot. The whole defense came up big in that second half as well. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. Love to see this offense keep ticking forward. Love seeing Kyle Pitts getting more involved as well. Love seeing like Drake London, Darnell Mooney are really seem to be meshing with Kirk Cousins. Better overall, I think, offensive play calling system as well. I think it helped that it was a Thursday night game because that Tampa Bay secondary, of course, they were banged up, but man, they sucked. We were able to do whatever we wanted. So want to see that trend continue, but just want to see more balanced overall football, both offensively and defensively. Want to see the defensive line helping out the secondary a lot more than it seems like the other way around.
Yeah, that to me, I think this Falcons defense, and I know they don't get the most amount of pressure in the first half, but to me, some of that is I think they're just a disciplined defense that is going to stay within their rushing lanes. They're not going to overextend and get burned. They're going to try to do what they can to keep the quarterback in the pocket.
I will say I have liked our play calling when it comes to crunch time. I've seen it several times throughout the year, but I like that we're not going to try and just sit back in the zone and you like have the quarterback sit back there with time. Be like, that's where I think the pressures come in. Like we're going to send guys, and we trust our secondary, we trust our linebackers because you're right, they're disciplined, and like they're going to be in the right spots, and you're going to have to make the right read of the right throw, they're the right read and a good throw to try and beat us here because we're sending 5 guys, and so you're going to have 5 linemen and a running back as well to pick up everybody. And so I do like that compared to past where it's like, let's rush 3. Let's hope our 8 guys can, can somehow stop it. And that has never seemed to work at all.
No. So that to me, I think like the Falcons, they're just going to be the more talented team, and we can just get into predictions now. If you haven't been able to tell already, I'm picking the Falcons. I don't. If the Falcons go in there and lay an egg, which is I will say is possible. And they leave the door open for the Carolina Panthers, I think the Panthers could take advantage of that. But I think if the Falcons come out and they give a good punch early and then they can kind of keep the pressure on, I think that they run away with this game late. And I actually think the running game is going to be very crucial later in this game. And I would love to see the Falcons kind of develop a downhill running game. I think that would be fantastic. You have 2 great running backs, Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. And so there's no reason that this shouldn't be a top 10 unit in the league. You just got to block it up right. Some of that may also be Zach Robinson hasn't fully come into his own in the coordinator space of just setting up runs and kind of using that to marry into the pass game with hard play actions and things, which I know he has done that. But just schematically, maybe he just hasn't quite figured out how to fully involve the running game yet.
Yeah. Well, and there's a couple things. Our offensive line is going to be an area of need that we need to address in the offseason for sure. Drew Dahlman's on IR. Caleb McGarry is playing through an injury. With the hurt MCL. But those are still areas that I think we need to keep on improving. I really like Jake Matthews, but also too, we do need to start thinking about, like our next left tackle, because I think he's 35. I mean, he's been there for a long time. But I agree though. I think it's still going to be kind of a work in progress. One area, and I'm obviously going to go with the Falcons as well. There's another final area of just note for Falcons fans that we really need to watch is the Chuba Hubbard and this Panthers rushing offense isn't horrible. They're 19th overall in rushing yards. And some of that, I will say, if we go look at some of these games here as well, early on, they only had 58 rushing yards and 90 rushing yards in the first 2 weeks, and that was with Bryce Young at quarterback. Since Andy Dalton's taken over at quarterback, 131, 155, then 120 rushing yards total overall as a team. And I think a lot of that has to do with the QB experience of just knowing blocking assignments, being able to read defenses. And so having Andy Dalton back there is, I think, going to help out the running game overall, which we have given up some rushing yards. I think we're 29th overall in rushing yards allowed. And we've given up a lot of rushing yards, at least 128 in every single game. So to be fair, we have faced some good rushing teams. So Pittsburgh, Philly, Kansas City, and New Orleans. Tampa Bay giving up 160 to Tampa Bay was unique. But a lot of that was on the one Rachaad White, 50-yard run.
I think at the end of the game, if Chuba Hubbard has 120 yards and a touchdown, I think you guys still win 35-7.
Potentially. Yeah.
I would be more concerned about preventing big plays off the play action, because if they can only run the ball, I think that's only going to get them so far, and eventually they're going to be down by enough points that they're not going to be able to run the ball. I think the Falcons are going to be the much better team in this matchup. Let's go ahead. We'll wrap it up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Falcons? Will it be the Panthers? And that we'll see you guys next time.